back to another wonderful Saturday here on No Huddle. My name is Caleb Davis. Once again, we made it to a beautiful week 8, joined by the man who earned the right to be the most annoying person this week, and actually was not, Mr. James Littlequist. James, how are we doing this week?
Rocky Top, you'll always be home sweet home to me. Good old Rocky Top, Tennessee. That's right. That's right.
James, we talked this week. That Victory cigar. You don't like cigars, but how'd it taste?
It tasted so sweet.
Yeah?
I have no idea why it took 16 long years. I was but a wee lad the last time the Vols beat Alabama.
Well, we're going to get into that. We're going to start off on a sad note here. Our condolences are out to two families this week. San Jose State running back Camden McWright was struck by his electric scooter was struck by a bus, and he ended up passing away. San Jose State and the New Mexico State game was postponed this week. Also, Mississippi State defensive lineman Sam Westmoreland passed away this week as well. So we send our condolences out to both of those families. We know loss is hard. These games are fun, but these are also kids. So our thoughts and prayers are with those families. James, we kind of hit on the Tennessee game, but that wasn't the only exciting game last week.
It wasn't. It was not.
Tennessee.
We had two field stormings. We had an overtime against top 25 teams.
Double overtime.
And then we also had a classic down in Starkville, Mississippi.
Yep. What James referred to is TCU defeated Oklahoma State in double overtime, 43-40. To start that game, Oklahoma State got out to a blazing start in the first quarter. And then TCU's offense ended up coming back. What do you think if TCU, and we'll get into this later in the show, if TCU beats Kansas State, they will have the tiebreaker over Kansas, Oklahoma, and Kansas State to go to the Big 12 championship. Do you think TCU could be a legitimate playoff contender in a 14 playoff?
In a 14 playoff, I believe they have a shot.
Okay.
Now they still have to go through the rest of their schedule, and they also have to play the Big 12 championship game, which we have proven throughout all time that the Big 12 championship game is rat poison, and it will always be that type of game. It
might be one of the most entertaining championship games to watch.
It is. It usually is, and so that's why I'm always, as we should all be doing, like, comment, and subscribing, and then also sharing to your friends this wonderful show.
Right.
Because I'm trying to do two things at once here. I'm trying to multitask.
We are full of hot takes and terrible ideas.
Absolutely.
That is exactly what James and I run on every day, all week, is hot takes and terrible ideas.
It fuels us. It fuels us. So
the next one, Penn State came into the Big House, and after being somewhat competitive in the first half, tied 17-17 at half. Michigan runs away in the second half and wins 41-17. You and I talked about how this would be the first time we could possibly give Michigan any credit. Do you feel Michigan has earned any kind of credit?
Because they made Penn State look like absolute doo-doo.
Right. And we were talking about in the first half, you're like, hold on, I'm not sure about Penn State's defense, and the second half it showed.
Yes. I think Penn State defense is butt, and then they showed that they were butt.
The next one, you alluded to the one down at Starkville. Kentucky goes on the road and beats Mississippi State 27-17. We know your feelings about Kentucky. What are your thoughts after this game?
They're going to still get that work next week. They're going to go back to the coal mines and make my iPhone work next week.
Right. And then if Tennessee and Alabama was game of the week, Utah and USC was game 1A of the week.
I feel really bad because 9 times out of 10, that would have been game of the week. It really would have been. It was a wonderful game that if you missed out because of the madness that was going on at the 3:30 games, you've really missed out at the 7 to 10 games because this one was actually a classic. I mean, Utah got off the mat and was able
That's
to.
what I say. USC got off to a hot start.
Yep.
And Utah hung around. USC does what USC in that game proves what happens when you let a team. I'm not going to say USC should have beat Utah because I do think defensively Utah's the better team. But that's the brewing of an upset is USC's inability to pull away.
Well, it also just shows that the problem with Lincoln Riley is still his lack of wanting to do defense, wanting to pretend to like defense. And, you know, as a fan of a team that is used to getting off to hot starts, you're going to have that lull during the middle of the game.
Right.
And that's where, you know, issues could happen. And, you know, Utah, like any good team, was able to get off the mat, able to recover.
Do you feel any better about Cam Rising than you did last week?
No, because he didn't do it really by throwing the ball. He did it more with his legs.
I'm still with you. I'm still not sold as Cam Rising. I think somebody needs to give Kyle Whittingham the Iron Nuts Award, though, to go for 2 there at home for the win.
Oh, he's got the Marbles Award. We're calling it the Marbles. He's got marbles.
Man, I was like, what are we doing? We're at home. What's the golden rule? At home, you play for the win.
Exactly. At home, you play for the win. I mean, look at Josh Heupel. He went against Alabama twice at 4th down. Didn't get it, but he was playing aggressive where Nick Saban was playing scared.
Right. And like he put out, you know, prior to kickoff, USC looked like they were going to win. They got off to the hot start, and their inability to keep their foot on the pedal, I think, is what kind of
with his type of offenses, you have to score. You have to just keep scoring, and you have to literally keep the foot on the throat, because if you let up 1 second, they're going to get off the floor, and they're probably going to come back and beat you.
Good teams, if you let good teams hang around long enough, they're going to find a way to respond.
Absolutely.
And that is exactly what happened. I sent you some news, and I found about 8 new different newses. So we're just going to kind of go through these kind of quickly. Tulane is playing their first ranked game since Tulane is playing their first game as a ranked team since 1998.
Feels like 98, baby. Let's go.
We can confirm. I saw it on video. Tennessee did get new goalposts this week.
We did. We were able to, our poverty institution of excellence was able to round up enough money to buy new goalposts. Definitely was not preparing for it, the weeks prior.
Did we ever get a number on what something like that costs? Do you know?
It costs I think around $300,000
to get one goalpost, or to get both of them.
Get both of them.
Okay, gotcha. Charlie Brewer is expected back to return to QB for Liberty against BYU. I think he was injured in the first game of the season. He was our Baylor guy for a while. Then he went to Utah, lost the job to Cam Rising, and then transferred to Liberty and got hurt in the first game. So,
I hope that the BYU has prayed to Heavenly Father and have blessed their magic underwear today, so that they are prepared for the butt whooping they are about to receive.
What job do you feel like Hugh Freeze is waiting for?
SEC job.
Okay, so you think he wants to go back to the SEC?
He wants back in the SEC, and I believe Greg Sankey's not allowing it.
Okay.
Which could wait, because Auburn is probably going to be back up.
The Big 12 may secure their new rights deal in the next coming weeks. I'm kind of intrigued to see what happens, because I'm curious if that's what they're waiting on to potentially expand. I know we've heard the 2 Arizona schools, the Colorado and Utah, potentially to the Big 12. So I'm curious to see how that works out. This is a question for you. Alabama's wide receiver Jermaine Burton is being investigated after the incident about striking a fan after the Tennessee.
Oh, no. It wasn't allegedly he struck a fan. He struck one.
Anyways, do you feel like he should play until the investigation is complete?
No, because unfortunately, and I'm dealing with this, during the Alabama game, our starting safety was being investigated for an assault, and we didn't get to have him, so we were playing walk-ons.
Okay, that's fine. That's why, and I didn't care about the before. It was the after question I was going to ask you. Arch Manning breaks the school record, his high school record for TDs in a career,
which was held by his uncle.
No, Peyton and Eli were second and third, and then I had the name and I forgot it.
Oh,
We have potential elimination games in the Pac-12 this week with Kansas State, Oregon State, and Oklahoma State. If they all lose, they'll have 2 losses and potentially be out of the CFP. Oregon would be my case for a 2-loss team to make it. You lost to Georgia. If you lose today against UCLA, you basically have 2 losses against a top 10 team. If you win out the rest of the year, win the Pac-12, what do you think their chances? Do you think they would have a realistic chance as a 2-loss Pac-12 champion with 2 losses to a top 10 team?
no, because that for me, this is me being going to be a very selfish lover. Whatever it gets to get Tennessee into the CFP, I'm going to be down for. So,
Okay.
and I'm going to chalk up that I think Tennessee is going to lose a game. So, a 2-loss Oregon team versus a 1-loss Tennessee team. Which team are you choosing?
I do understand. This was I
am being biased. I am being 100%.
We know
biased,
you're being biased.
and I.
We see your shirt and your toboggan. We understand.
It's a beanie, sir.
Sir, Coach Prime said he'd entertain a Power 5 job. Where is the best fit? And I feel like we both have the same answer.
And it's going to be Georgia, and it's Georgia Tech, and we both know Georgia Tech.
It's going to be Georgia Tech. He played for the Falcons and the Braves.
He knows the city of Atlanta.
We would both have the same answer on that.
Because we're not going to go with Auburn because that is a 5-alarm dumpster fire right now. And I don't think Coach Prime would risk his coaching capital going to that freaking franchise.
And we had a buddy of ours kind of point out that Colorado's AD interviewed for the Auburn job. If I am any administration with a pulse, if anything Colorado football comes across my desk, it goes into the shredder.
And that's not that's no offense to him, but the Colorado athletics department especially on the men's side is very bad. You have a basketball program and a football program, and that's about it. And both of those are not very, very good at the moment.
Well, the basketball team hits and miss. The football team is terrible.
And there's your issue. Your money, and we do have to say this, the money sports. Because I mean, no one cares crap about women's skiing. I'm sorry. It's really hard.
College football is what allows you to have those programs.
And that program is in the ground. Now is that his fault, or is that he has no boosters? Still,
the point
just because you hire Mel Tucker doesn't mean that you're a good AD.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on to some key games this week, James. Syracuse goes on the road to Clemson. Clemson, 37 straight games at home. They've won. They win today, they will break the ACC record for most consecutive home wins in ACC. What chance do you give Syracuse to win today?
I'm going to give them a 33 1/3 chance.
So we're doing the 3-way with Scott Steiner, who has 66 1/3.
Yeah, because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat him. Absolutely.
I love it. It.
Only because I really do like Syracuse. I think that they're a great story. But going into Clemson, because I will not call it its other name because I do not believe it's called that. They can be the other, the other stadium that calls themselves that. But I just think right now with the way Clemson, there's a level in the ACC, and it's Clemson, and then it's 5 pounds of what, and then it's the rest of the conference.
Absolutely.
I feel bad for that because Syracuse is having a great year, but I believe their Cinderella run ends tonight.
I have 2 pulled here. I love Sean Tucker, the running back of Syracuse. Yes. I absolutely love Sean Tucker. I think he's going to be a first-round back. He's probably a top 3 back in college football right now. My next question is this the year that Dino Babers leaves Syracuse?
You know what? It's actually probably a good idea to do that because you're leaving on a high. Because I feel like he's hitting the limit at Syracuse.
He's hitting the glass ceiling.
He's hitting the ceiling that you can't get above for Syracuse. Because outside of this, and what other years of Syracuse football were they any good? Donovan McNabb in 1998.
Man, a lot of 98 things going on here.
It's like something that happened that year that I just keep coming back to.
I don't know.
But the outside of Donovan McNabb, what else has Syracuse football been known for? I mean, literally you're playing in a basketball arena.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every year.
Do you feel like, and I don't know with the weather in Syracuse if they ever would build another stadium for football because the Carrier Dome is sufficient enough?
No, they will never do that. And also, why would you want to build another stadium in Syracuse, New York? It's not a very big area, and it's cold. You're in Canada, folks.
We could. For those of us that don't know, James and I control everything that goes on in the college football universe, according to some people. And we put College Game Day in Oregon for UCLA Oregon this week. A couple of notes here for that game. Oregon has won 22 straight games at home. Bo Nix has only had one turnover since the Georgia game. Brian Kelly. Chip Kelly is 0-3 against Oregon since coming to UCLA. And under Chip Kelly, UCLA is 0-5 against the top 10. Who you got today, UCLA or Oregon?
So this is where I usually go with the better offense against the especially against the Pac-12. However, there is going to be rain in this game. It is going to rain, and it's going to rain a lot. Now, I know, granted, that's not a big shock coming that it's in Oregon. However, they're talking a lot of rain. So that's where I put Oregon's running back, and then also this also takes the ball out of Bo Pick's hands to throw the back-breaking pick six that he is known to do.
We know and love him.
Vintage Bo Nix. So I believe that taking the air out of the ball, I believe, benefits Oregon more than it does UCLA.
This isn't the reason that I'm picking Oregon. I think they play better defense. James, who is the head coach at Oregon?
That'd be Mr. Lanning, wouldn't it be?
And please tell me Dan Lanning's former employer.
That would be Kirby Smart.
And he did what under Mr. Kirby Smart?
He was a coordinator of defense, if I remember correctly.
All right. And for that reason alone, I am going to go with Oregon. I do think they're going to be able to play some defense.
Completely unbiased answer right there.
Absolutely. I did preface it by saying that wasn't the only reason that I was picking But
Oregon. It was the main reason.
No, it was actually like reason 3. You mentioned the weather, which takes the ball out of the quarterback's hands in general, and we know UCLA has the better quarterback. And, the home atmosphere, the defense, and I'm just, Oregon in the in the 2010s was my love. Chip Kelly kind of turned me on to that team, and I've kind of followed them ever since. And I just don't see the same electric offense at UCLA, but I saw it at Oregon.
Well, it's unfortunately it's a different time.
I do agree. But
offenses change, and
I don't see the will to win in Chip Kelly like I felt like he had at Oregon.
Well, and also he's done in UCLA, which is a different vibe. So I think
that's
it also
very
is
true.
that.
Well, you're probably like the 10th or 11th best thing to do out there.
Yeah. You're definitely fighting for
out of 9 things. You're probably like 10 or 11.
You probably are. I mean, and this is why I hate about everyone calls LA a good sports city. They've got so much stuff to do out there, and they don't care about college football out there. I'm sorry. I know this comes to a shock to us being college football fans. LA does not care.
And we've talked about it before on our show. You're from the West Coast. You didn't realize college football being a lifestyle until you got down here to the South.
This is true. And so, like, for me, all I got to watch was a lot of Stanford and Cal games. Now, granted, that during that time it was actually really good and it was fun to watch. However, the complete psychotic nature of college football in the South, in the ACC areas, and in the SEC and the Big 12, it surpasses that because everyone out there, you have to be a fan of the school because you went to the school.
Right.
They look at you weird if you're like, "Oh, I'm a fan of USC." Oh, what year did you go?
Right. Absolutely.
And people do, and it's a completely novel concept that you are a fan of it, even if you never went to the school.
Right. The next one we have is Texas and Oklahoma State. I do feel like if Oklahoma State loses, they are out of the CFP conversation. Spencer Sanders is questionable for this game. If Spencer Sanders cannot go, can you name me Oklahoma State's backup quarterback?
No.
Gunnar Gundy. And you can put 2 and 2 together and figure out who his father is.
I believe that he might have had a name Gunner somewhere.
Yep. Gunnar Gundy is Mike Gundy's son. And he will be the quarterback if Spencer Sanders cannot play today.
So this is how much of a man Mike Gundy is that his son is now at the school that he went
Are you going to be disappointed if Gunnar Gundy doesn't have a mullet?
I'm going to be – I mean, if that thing isn't a full-on Kentucky waterfall, I'm going to be severely disappointed.
It's just bad. Who do you think wins this game today?
I still think Oklahoma State wins this. I think they play this thing called –
I
think they play this novel concept called defense.
Well, I agree with you for the other reason. Texas struggled. Texas had so many opportunities last week to put Iowa State away, and they let them hang around. And we saw from last week what happens when you let teams hang around. You know, so I kind of agree with you. You know, but I do think it doesn't matter which quarterback plays, that Texas is going to have the better quarterback. I want to see Texas' ability to run the ball and play keep away.
And that's where I think Texas has an issue. I think Texas is a better team this year, obviously, than they were last year.
Right.
But I don't think that they're ready to take that next step.
We're still a year early on Texas.
Absolutely.
Everybody had them winning the Big 12. I'll admit we had Baylor and we were obviously wrong. But I don't remember if either one of us had Texas in the
No.
No,
I think I had Iowa State, which was even worse.
Yeah, I have it sitting here. Actually, James, look what I just found.
Uh-oh.
Let's see. We have it in here somewhere. Hold on. Watch one of us have Texas. I just want you to know that. One of us is going to have Texas. Oh, I had Baylor, Oklahoma State.
Oh, so you're maybe half right.
So I'm not as wrong as you were if you had Iowa State, because I at least had Oklahoma State.
Yes.
But I do think with a backup quarterback, even with it being a home environment, you know, I still think this is going to be a tough game for Oklahoma State to win. I wouldn't be surprised if they won. But if Texas can play keep away and actually capitalize on opportunities, Texas is going to be able to win this game. Next, we have Mississippi State going on the road to Tuscaloosa against Alabama. The question is, by how many points will Alabama win?
You know, that's going to be a lot of pissed off pachyderms in the great actor Bryant Denny's stadium there. But here's the thing: Mississippi State is good at throwing the football. What did Tennessee prove that Alabama sucks
right
at?
Out of my mouth, and thank you for that. That was going to be my point. Mississippi State's chance here is to throw the ball all over the yard.
And what does the Pirate love to do more than anything in this world outside of quoting Blackbeard scripture and talk about the weather?
Probably. Also, did you see his sideline report with Alyssa Lang when she said she was getting married? Anyways, different story. He likes to throw the ball 150 times a game.
Yes.
So
he doesn't know what running the football is.
I give Mississippi State like this much of a chance to win.
However, now, if Mississippi State makes this close, do you think? Because you know, I did find a little bit of a trolley thing last night, and I was throwing that out there to the red meat to the wolves. Do you think that if this team starts struggling, do you think Nick Saban starts getting wondering eyes to going back and just staying at home with Miss Terry?
I think Nick Saban will retire after he wins a national championship. We all know how Nick Saban is. I don't feel like he would retire in the middle of a season, and I don't feel like he would retire on a down season. Does that make sense?
I understand that, but
to me, he seems like the kind of guy that would retire on a high note.
I understand that, but you know, these guys don't understand what a high note is, and you know, we had to, and you know, I hate to bring everything back to Tennessee, but I don't. We had the same issue with Philip Fulmer. We had the same issue with Philip Fulmer. Was I think he wanted to retire on a high note, and he couldn't get it done enough to be that high note enough for him.
What worries me about Tennessee, what worries me about Alabama, is not just in the Tennessee game, in the Texas game, they look so undisciplined. Like, does this look like the most non-Nick Saban team ever?
This looks like the most anti Nick Saban team I've seen. Now, granted, what is saving them and why they only have one loss right now is not Nick Saban and his coaching staff and being able to coach circles around with the great talent. It's been Bryce Young and Jamar Gibbs.
That's exactly.
That's it. Will Anderson has been the biggest disappointment in college football this year.
I do agree. They have this stat pulled up right here on game day I have on my other screen. Alabama allowed 8.1 yards per play against Tennessee.
Yeah.
When have you ever – that's the second highest yards per play against Alabama under Nick Saban.
Well, I mean, I could also say, were you alive the last time Alabama gave up 50 points in a game? The answer is you'd be wrong because you'd be 108.
I was going to say 1907 puts you,
Yeah. You'd be old as dirt if you remember Sewanee pantsing Bama.
Right.
So this is the most non-Alabama team we've seen. Bryce Young and Jamar Gibbs are the only reason why they're at where they're at.
The only thing Alabama about this team right now is the uniforms.
Yeah.
That is the only thing that looks like an Alabama team this year. They have no receivers.
And you know what? And it was also showing like you had Henry To'o, obviously playing with a lot of emotion last week, being back from where he started his college career at. But the entire team, I mean, everyone talks about the field goal, looking like garbage with Chase McGrath. That was from an illegal move off the field goal. Will Anderson vaulting over, which is illegal in college football. Right. Now, would it have been called? Who knows? But still. I am not going to. Now, Keith did bring up a great thing of do you think this is coming?
Don't we know better though? Don't
we know better? We have tried this so many times, and you know what? He's the damn Terminator, and he always comes back bigger, stronger, and faster. I will not throw dirt on him until he. I mean, honestly, he's the closest thing to Bear Bryant we've seen. I feel like the day he retires is the next day he dies.
Not necessarily the way that the Joe Paterno thing happened, but I kind of agree with Joe Paterno left Penn State and died within, 6 months?
Yeah. Same thing with Bear Bryant. He died 3 weeks afterwards.
I kind of feel – we know better than to say this is the end of the dominance, but this has been a very uncharacteristic Alabama team.
I see all those offensive. I see all the analysts and all the defensive analysts that he has, and this is probably the weakest group I've ever seen.
I do.
You have Sal Sunseri as your linebackers.
He doesn't have the high-profile staff that he normally has.
He is literally trotting out a bunch of Tennessee rejects in his assistant coaches and coaching and his assistant analysts. Shout out Derek Dooley eating a plate of spaghetti while the freaking goalposts are going past him. Most classic Derek Dooley thing ever made.
So I kind of know why Pete Golding is still there. The DUI probably scares people. Bill O'Brien is still there.
Yeah.
Kiffin was there 2 years. Sark was there 1. Why are people not clamoring for these Alabama coordinators like they have been in the past? Like you said, the quality is not there.
It's not. It's lack of quality. And also they've kind of, I mean, you get hit in the head too many times. You finally realize, hey, don't go to that stove. It's hot. People have realized the coordinators for Alabama are only good because they're coaching players that Nick Saban has recruited that are 5-star professional athletes.
Right.
And the deer antler spray has gotten to them.
The last kind of key game we're going to talk about this week is Kansas State at TCU. We watched TCU score all over Oklahoma. They might actually still be scoring in that game. And then we watched TCU come out last week and fall behind to Oklahoma State. I think this is a spot that TCU can lose because I know Deuce Vaughn's a little banged up and he's going to play, but Kansas State plays a smash mouth style of football that doesn't allow for a lot of mistakes.
It doesn't. And you know what? You know who would be a perfect fit for that Wisconsin job if they'd ever if they think it? It'd be Klein in Kansas State.
If he leaves Manhattan, Kansas, it better be in a casket.
Yes. It would. It better be. Now, and
Is
once
this
again, we're going to tie everything back to '98. Name me what team was in line to be in the BCS before playing Kansas State.
Tennessee?
No, it was Texas A&M. They were playing in the Big 12 championship.
Oh
against
yeah,
Kansas
yeah, yeah.
State,
You're right.
They lost. Thus, Florida State played Tennessee instead of Texas A&M.
What was I going to say? Is there a better? What is his name? I had his name, and then you talked, and I forgot.
Klein?
No, other Kansas State head coach.
Snyder?
Yes. Is there a better Bill Snyder clone than Chris Klieman right now?
No, there's not. I wish that we could you could freeze him and clone him, because I also would wish that have that technology in the University of Nevada with Alt, because that those two schools, you need a clone of that coach to be good, because you need to have someone who understands the area that the Little Apple is not going to be the most attractive place for people to play at, and you need to get these guys that are crazy. Because I mean, look at Tennessee's special teams coordinator, Mike Eckler. Right. Where did he play college football at? He played at Kansas State. And what was he known for? Breaking up the wedge. Do you know how much of a psychopath you have to be to go, I'm guaranteeing pain coming into this?
Right. The playoff expansion committee, met this week, and they haven't quite figured out the details. I was watching some more of it this morning. What the model would look like in 2024 and 2025 is not what it's going to look like in 2026 and beyond. They've talked about starting the college football season a week earlier. They're going to have to compete with the NFL at some point, just because the NFL starts playing Saturday games. Right now, they're talking 2024, 2025. The first round being home games and the rest of them being at bowl sites. Where in 2026 and beyond, you have the first round and the quarterfinal games be at home, and then the semifinals and the finals being at bowl sites. So I kind of did a little activity. I put kind of a mock 12-team playoff together based on the current rankings.
Okay.
So I didn't put specific teams for some of these. The number one overall seed would have to be at this point the SEC champion, and right now I have that as Alabama or Georgia. Do we agree? Okay.
I don't, but
you think I say that because even you say you're not sure Tennessee can beat Georgia.
I don't think Tennessee. However, I'd be more comfortable about a 12-team playoff this year, just because I feel like that would make sure that Tennessee's in there. Now, granted, I will be more than obvious. My biasness, my number one seed is my team because, well, yeah.
The 2 seed would be the Big Ten champ as long as it was Ohio State or Michigan.
Yes.
The 3 seed would be the ACC champ as long as it was Clemson.
I don't have that. I have the SEC runner-up as number 3.
Okay, I have the SEC runner-up 4. The top 4 teams get a bye. 1 and 4 don't play each other.
I literally put Tennessee, Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan.
Okay, I've had SEC champ, Big Ten champ, ACC champ, and the SEC championship loser.
Okay.
5th, it was either Ohio State or Michigan. The loser of that game that didn't win the Big Ten would be the 5 seed.
That makes sense. However, that's where I have Clemson, aka the ACC champ.
In the 6th seed, I have the 1-loss Tennessee or Ole Miss.
That makes sense. That's where I have the Big 12 champ. So what I did is I put all the champs having home games, because I feel like that's what they're going to want to do.
I don't think that's going to be how that works. I just know they're guaranteed a spot.
Yes. I feel like that's how it's going to work. They're going to guarantee them a home game.
I don't necessarily agree with that. So then I have the 1-loss Tennessee or Ole Miss hosting right now the Pac-12 championship game loser that would have 1 or 2 losses.
So
let me guess, you don't have the Pac-12 championship game loser.
I do. I actually do.
Okay.
So what I have is the number 7 seed being the Pac-12 champ.
I do as well. And then I have the 8 seed or the 10 seed being the Big Ten champ.
You mean the Big 12?
The Big 12 champion. I'm sorry.
Okay. I have number 6 TCU as the Big 12 champ and number 7 UCLA as the Pac-12 champ.
Okay. I didn't put teams. I just put And then
I put teams in there. I actually had fun and put teams in there.
I put a one-loss SEC, which is either the Tennessee or the Ole Miss, versus a one-loss Wake Forest team, which I believe is the only other ACC team that can get in.
I don't have another ACC team in there. However, I do have an American Athletic Conference as my 8-9.
Your G5 team. You have to have at least one G5, which is your highest-rated G5 champ, which right now would be Cincinnati.
So as my 8-9 matchup, I have Alabama versus Cincinnati.
I have the G5 right now as the 12 seed.
So my at-large bids are at the 10 seed Ole Miss.
Okay.
Because right now they're right now that's where they're at.
Right.
And then as the 11 seed, I have Oregon playing TCU in Dallas. So that would be
game. We saw that game a few years ago.
It's a good game. And then
Oregon was up 31-0, and TCU came back and won that game.
Yes.
That was such
Actually, I lie. I have two Big 12 teams because I also have Oklahoma State as the final bid playing Clemson in Clemson.
Death Valley in the Rock.
In the Rock.
All right. So I kind of had some fun with that. I didn't know if you would do that too. So
well, yeah, obviously I had some fun with that because I also thought about the next one because that would be either a rematch of Bama, Tennessee in Neyland Stadium, or that'd be Cincinnati driving the 5 hours down to Knoxville and playing in Neyland. And then also having Ole Miss or UCLA having to go up to Columbus, Ohio.
We talked about some upset alerts this week, James.
Yes, we did.
Who do you have on upset alert this week?
Well, I mean, I think everybody's going to go the Syracuse, Clemson, or the Ole Miss LSU route.
Right.
However, I am actually putting my number 9 seed on upset alert.
I actually had that before I sent out messages to you guys. Hey, who do you think you have on upset alert?
Yes. I have Cincinnati playing Southern Methodist University, aka the Pony Express,
in Dallas.
In Dallas.
This is not in Ohio. I also think this could be a trap game because do you know who Cincinnati plays next week?
I have not checked. They play UCF. Yeah, I was going to say, did they play UCF?
I believe that's in Florida. Let me double check my notes.
So they're going to be in Orlando just like I am.
Awesome. In the bounce house.
In the bounce house.
So I actually had them on upset alert. One, because SMU's a good team, and two, they could potentially be looking ahead.
Yes.
Mine's actually Minnesota and Penn State. I know it's a whiteout game. It just came out this morning. Both Minnesota and Penn State quarterbacks are questionable in game time decision. Tanner Morgan has concussions. We know Sean Clifford got hurt last week against Michigan with a shoulder injury. And if you're telling me, the game comes down to running the ball, I'm going to go with Minnesota. I do think Nick Singleton's a better running back, but I feel like Minnesota might have the better offensive line.
Who's Minnesota's running back? It's like Ibrahim or something like that?
Mohim Ibrahim. Excuse me, because it's I, not A. So it's yes.
Ibrahim. So also the reason why I think that's a good choice is because Penn State got beat up.
Penn State allowed, I think I looked it up earlier, it was like 400 and something yards rushing last week.
They got physically worked. They got all the hands. Michigan rated it E for everyone. Everyone got hands last week.
They did.
So they're beat up. Now, granted, I understand it's a whiteout game, yada, yada, yada. The Penn State doesn't always have the best record with the whiteout game. It's going to be cold. It's going to be Minnesota type. This is going to set offensive football back 30 years.
This might be as ugly as Iowa football.
Ew. No, we don't go that far.
Are you sure? With backup quarterbacks, and this has turned into a run game?
Actually, you know what? I'm excited because I think Penn State might actually benefit from having a new quarterback.
I do agree in the long run. This is going to help. This is going to help Penn State. I know Sean Clifford's on like his 34th year of eligibility.
He's on the Kellen Moore grind, yeah.
And Case Keenum.
And the Case Keenum run, yeah.
But I agree with you. I think in the long run, this is going to benefit Penn State. They have a 5-star true freshman quarterback who is probably better for the team, but
I just think talent. I mean, we know what Sean Clifford has done.
We have seen it enough years, and you got to think about Penn State, after losing last week, is 0-10 against ranked teams since James Franklin took over.
That's not
on
good.
the road, I believe, is what that stat said. I'll have to look it up and confirm it.
And we know he's a good coach because he won at Vanderbilt.
And 6 of those games were started by who?
Jordan Rodgers?
No, at Penn State.
Oh, at Penn State.
6 of those 10 losses were started by our good friend Sean Clifford.
Yeah,
and our buddy Sis over at K&K thinks Penn State's going to roll today. That might be a little biased. They're from that area. But I co-host with a homie, so
Hey, you know what? He could hope and pray and do all that he needs to, because they're going to need a bounce back game like that. They're going to need it to save face, because I see this being not a letdown game. It's called I literally try to call these something. I'm trying to figure out the good word, like a beat up game or something like that, because you're beaten up from last week and you need a week to recover from that.
Right.
Ass whooping.
Penn State definitely would have benefited from a bye this week.
Or a UT Martin.
Yes. Or a UT Martin. What I try to logically put Tennessee on upset alert, but I don't think it's going to go that far. But I'm curious how long it takes them to get going.
I think it's gonna take them a minute. Now, granted, you know who the coach of UT Martin is, right?
Huh.
Ty Simpson's father.
Okay.
Ty Simpson, aka the freshman Alabama quarterback that was at Neon Stadium last week. Right. So he was there watching his son get beat, and now congratulations, you get to collect your $1.5 million and come right back to the scene of the crime.
Some of the other ones, and I added this last minute. I guess I was probably being over anxious. We have seen Iowa upset Ohio State before. We've seen Ohio State have letdown games.
Caleb.
I know. Wait. Let me finish my train of thought here. Let me finish my train of thought here. Is Ohio State going to play like Ohio State against an Iowa, or are they going to let Iowa hang around?
If C.J. Stroud is in this game by halftime, I don't want to. You might as well just give that trophy in New York to Hendon Hooker.
James, who has more passing attempts this year, Spencer Petras or C.J. Stroud?
Ooh, C.J. Stroud, if I think we're correctly.
Since Spencer Petras has one more pass attempt
than
C.J. Stroud this year. I believe he has 161 and C.J. Stroud has 160.
But how many passes have actually been caught by
like 50 like 58 of it's stupid.
Iowa's offense is so bad.
Are we not used to seeing Ohio State have letdown games? Yes or no?
We are. However, I don't think it happens here, because I've literally watched a Iowa drive be -6 yards and end in a field goal.
I don't know about you. I'm still on Iowa's punter for Heisman. Okay.
That man has an iron leg. You know what? I feel for that man, because that man is having to deal with it in colder conditions than anything. All those Tennessee punters that got put in the league because of terrible offenses.
We have 2 other teams we put on upset alert. Tulane is going to Memphis to play.
Only because I feel like that could be a letdown, because Tulane is now riding high for being ranked.
And what do we know? Cincinnati has started their backup quarterback, by the way. What do we know about Ole Miss so far?
That they play offense, and their schedule has been. We have a word for this. Do we need to spell out the word? SAWFT.
Soft.
I mean, Michigan is absolutely jealous of Ole Miss's schedule.
Hey, Ole Miss at least played Tulsa, okay, and they have more than one win. Ole Miss goes on the road to LSU. We don't know what Ole Miss is. Let's be honest. Their strength of schedule is 100 and something, which is not good.
Yeah, when you're in the hundreds in college football, that bad.
So I probably won't watch this game more than scoreboard watching. I don't even know what time this game is.
I will be because this is a perfect game for Brian Kelly to say, I am the right choice. You guys made the correct decision.
Absolutely.
I understand
I
they got
completely agree
absolutely
with that
blitzkrieged their last home game.
I completely agree with that statement. I do think this could be a hallmark win for Brian Kelly at LSU.
For this year.
For this year, absolutely. And this could be a great recruiting point for him as well.
Yes, absolutely. Now, granted, this is the 3:30 CBS game of the week.
I guess I will.
Poor CBS. They went from
Alabama, Tennessee.
18 million people watching that game.
Well, I'm sorry, Tennessee scheduled UT Martin and Georgia had a bye. Okay.
Don't worry. I think CBS will recover in 3 weeks when that happens.
And I thought you were annoying when Tennessee played Alabama.
Oh, it's going to get pray that Georgia wins that game.
If Tennessee wins this game, I'm going in hiding. I just want you to know that. We know Brian Harson's going to get fired. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Yes.
Scott Satterfield, Jeff Scott, Brian Harsin. Who's the next coach to get fired?
It's got to be Jeff Scott.
I think it's got to be Scott Satterfield.
USF is so bad, though. I mean,
so is Louisville.
Louisville shows signs of actually having a pulse, and then they do Louisville things.
That's if you're doing your own things, that's probably not good.
Oh, it's not good, but I mean, here's my issue.
Louisville plays Pitt today, by the way.
So Louisville Pitt versus in the old Big East game of the week.
Okay, here is. Are you ready for Louisville's schedule? The rest of Louisville could finish 3-9. Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, James Madison at Clemson. NC State comes in at Kentucky.
NC State's their only winnable game.
I don't even think that's a winnable game.
Is Levy going to be?
I get Devin Leary's out for the year.
Yeah,
I do understand that, but can Louisville stop the run?
True.
Let's see. Louisville right now is averaging giving up. Hold on, I'll find it.
It's not good. You're going to have to dig deep.
I'm looking for it. Sorry. It's not. Go ahead.
The Marianas Trench is not as deep as how much you're having to dig for those defensive stats.
Right. It's not. It's no good, very bad. I just want you to know that.
It's very bad, very evil.
I found it.
Now, here, while you're doing that, let's go through South Florida's schedule. They are 1-6 right now, folks. They play Houston.
Loss.
That's L. Temple.
That's winnable, but I don't think they can do it.
SMU.
Lose.
Tulsa.
Probably a loss.
And then you end it with UCF, which you know is going to be an absolute bloodbath on I-4.
Not the war on I-4. Is there a better name?
That is a great name. That is a great name.
Better name for a G5 rivalry game than the war on I-4?
No. Even Maction is jealous of that.
Man.
By the way, thank you, baby Jesus, and everything that we had we had Fun Belt and.
You took the word. I was going to say I'm so glad we're back to midweek football, and we are.
I mean, I was a degenerate. I watched all of that.
We are a week and a half away from midweek action. The whole month of November, we get midweek action.
You know what? I'm a complete degenerate. I watched Harvard and Princeton in a game that I wish I didn't. I wish I couldn't claim that I watched. Right. But I watched Ivy League last night because I miss football that much.
That's how this works.
You eat like I'm needing to eat it because I know that it's going away soon, so you have to stock up.
On Saturday, watched Idaho beat Montana.
That's actually, you know what? I like Grizzly football, so I will not say anything bad about that.
As a guy who wanted Idaho to win.
That's a degenerate statement there, sir.
I love football.
I understand that. We only have a few more weeks of this. We only have like 6 more weeks of this.
I know.
And then it's gone again. And then we have to wait.
And then we get bowls. So we get like a month of just random games throughout the
week. We get a month of games where half the team doesn't want to play the game.
Oh, I remember what I was going to ask you. Hold on, let me find this guy's name really fast.
Okay.
Hold on, let me find this guy's name really fast. It's an Oklahoma State defensive lineman who is dealing with an injury. Let me see if I can find his name. Liberty, yada, 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 yada. This is not what I want. Teams. There we go. Oklahoma State. Thank you. Okay, I got it right here. Oklahoma State starting defensive tackle Brendan Ewers, who has been dealing with an unspecified injury on Thursday, announced he will skip the rest of the season and prepare for the NFL draft.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
It's going to happen.
I do understand that it's going to happen.
These things, I mean, I know someone was trolling this week this morning on Tennessee Twitter of Cedric Tillman doing the same thing.
Would you feel differently if it was somebody from your team?
No, because you know what? Here's the most important thing that we have to think about. These kids are playing this sport, which is a very dangerous sport and something that causes a lot of injuries, lifetime of injuries and pain to make the money to go pro.
Right.
And how, why hypocritical of me, if I'm the one, who's able to change jobs and try to make as much money as humanly possible, how can I be mad at somebody who is making a business decision, not to go to a rival team, not to do anything else? He's just not playing so he can heal up and be ready to play on Sundays. That he's going to say on Sunday Night Football, blank name, university of your team. How can you be mad about that?
How would you feel if, and I know this probably is a once every probably 5 or 10 years. Let's say Tennessee makes it to the national championship game.
Yeah.
And Cedric Tillman says, "Hey, I'm going to skip this game and prepare for the draft."
Now, granted, because of the situation in the Tennessee's wide receiver room, we give him a great big hug, say congratulations. Now, I don't think that's going to happen if you're.
It's probably never going to happen.
It's never going to happen because you're playing for you're playing for the ring.
What I'm just saying.
But if this was like
11 and you're
if you're
in a conference title game and a chance at the playoffs.
Yeah. I could see them being some sour grapes. However, you also got to think, hey, why do you want to? I mean, do you really want to do a Marshawn Lattimore and ruin your career before it even starts?
Do you like players opting? Like, are you okay with players opting out of bowl games?
Yes, because the game doesn't count.
Okay. All right.
Outside of the record does count.
But I too don't really care that players opt out of games. Or out of this,
it's a bowl game. The game is an exhibition game at best.
Exactly.
Sometimes they get competitive, sometimes they don't.
The last thing I have are just some key games, paper pop for next week. Ohio State goes on the road for.
Congratulations, Penn State.
Right, you go Michigan, Minnesota, and Ohio State. Your favorite team comes into Neyland Stadium next week, Kentucky Wildcats.
In a dark mode game, they've already announced that they're going with their second alternate jersey of the year.
The black ones or the gray?
All black ones with the black helmet.
Man,
soon.
CBS is getting some good games this year.
They're gonna. You know what? I don't feel bad about this. CBS is gonna get sick and tired of hearing Rocky Top and having that orange cryon back there.
All right, they'll have to hear it for the rest of the year.
Yeah, congratulations.
We talked about the trap game that Cincinnati could be in this week with SMU. They go on the road to UCF next week. We have Georgia, Florida next week, which I'm not sold on Richardson, so I'm not worried.
I'm hoping for a great hard hitting game
Yeah,
with a lot of physicality. I hope Vontrell Miller has a great game and has like 1,800 tackles on all your guys' players.
And then we have Oklahoma State on the road at Kansas State.
Another Kansas State, ready to trap another team.
I was talking to someone this morning. If I told you that if South Carolina beats A&M today, by the time they get to Tennessee, they could potentially be 7-2. Does that sound believable? First of all,
not the way they started the season.
So somebody told me that today. I was like, Tennessee, no. South Carolina lost to Georgia, lost to Arkansas. They play A&M. They've got Missouri and Vanderbilt.
Yep.
After A&M, so South Carolina has the potential to be 7-2 going into Tennessee, Kentucky, and Clemson.
Do they really want to have game day at 5 locations for that features Tennessee? No, I joke. You know what? It shows that Sean Beamer is a good coach. He might have the most cringiest videos outside of Russell Wilson, known to man. But the man can coach some ball. Now, am I sold on Spencer Rattler? Absolutely not. Are they a benefit of playing their schedule? Because I actually want to see who have they played, Paul?
Georgia State, Arkansas. They played South Carolina State. I believe they played Charlotte. Georgia, Arkansas. They beat Kentucky, and they beat Mississippi State. Did I miss anybody?
No, they've only played Georgia State, Arkansas, Georgia, Charlotte, South Carolina State, and Kentucky.
That's what I said.
Now they'll play. Now you're right about the other states. They play Florida before they play Tennessee.
Right. Which I think they can beat Florida at this point.
Yeah, but see, I feel like that's the game for third or fourth of the SEC East.
Right.
And so
probably fourth because Kentucky probably falls in. Third.
But you know what? They'll have a really bad start of the season. They'll raise themselves back up just to be the last 2 games get freaking dumpster.
I do agree that those last 3 games are just nasty. That's not even fair.
It's not, but that's what he signed up for.
That's not even fucking fair, dude.
It's also going to be fun because tonight is the SEC basement eliminator tonight.
Missouri plays Vanderbilt. Go ball. Go Doors.
I will never say those words ever.
Go Doors.
I will never.
Outside, and I didn't have any of this wrote down, and right now we're just kind of talking. Outside of A&M, who has been the biggest disappointment to you this season? I have a couple.
Notre Dame.
I do agree. And we kind of have talked about the difference between Notre Dame losing to Marshall and Stanford and the year that Jeremy Pruitt lost to Georgia State. We talk about that. I am going to go Penn State. I don't feel like they're one loss, but I feel like they should have 3 or 4 losses the way that they played.
I feel like that was because they spent too long on Sean Clifford. I believe that's the reason why that they are that type of disappointment this year.
I'm also going to go with our guy PJ Fleck at Minnesota. If there's a year to win the Big Ten West, this is the year to do it, and somehow Illinois is doing it. Illinois is doing it. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Oklahoma's been a big disappointment this year, although I'm not sure what realistic expectations there was for them.
I don't think there was. I think the biggest disappointments have been obviously the teams that have fired their coaches midseason.
I don't agree. Nebraska, I'll go with. Arizona State, I won't agree with. Colorado.
Oh, no. The Arizona State, that thing's a whole dumpster fire.
Colorado, I won't
I think
agree
Wisconsin.
With. And Georgia Tech, I won't agree with.
Wisconsin,
I do agree with Wisconsin.
I meant mostly the Big Ten West teams that fired their coaches early. And I think Iowa has been a massive disappointment.
Will he ever figure out offense?
Well, he thinks one of the most overrated stats is offensive yards. So
So,
there's your answer.
let's see. Trying to think of who else I think has kind of been overrated or underperformed so far.
I mean, I feel like Brent Venables the 3-game losing streak looked really bad.
It did.
But I also feel like, it's part of the same thing with what Texas dealt with last year, is that he's trying to change a culture there.
Right. Because that's never, and I talk about it all the time about Lincoln Riley, the farther Lincoln Riley got away from Bob Stoops, the less they played defense.
The less they played it, the less they cared about it.
Exactly.
And he's having to go do that. Now, another team that I thought was going to be better that is 500 right now.
Wait, what conference?
And they're 300. They're 500 completely. They're 3-3.
I am not completely surprised by Miami.
You knew exactly who I was going to.
I don't think it is hard to go in year one and win.
I had higher expectations from them.
What are they right now? 3-3.
They're 3-3. Now they played Duke.
Read me their schedule.
Okay, their schedule. They play Duke. They play Virginia.
Yes.
And then they play Florida State.
No. I'm going to say Florida State beats Miami this year.
So they'll be 5-4. Then they play then they'll be 6-4 because they play Georgia Tech.
Probably.
Then they play Clemson.
No.
So they'll be 6-4.
Right.
Or 6-5.
6-5.
And playing Pitt to end
I
the
think
season.
Pitt is beatable.
They are beatable. That is at home. That is in
my worry for Miami is Tyler Van Dyke has taken like 3 steps back this year.
Yes. The loss to Middle Tennessee State is inexcusable.
I agree. If you pay a team to come play you, you shouldn't lose.
You shouldn't. Shouts out to the Fun Belt.
Pay them to come play you.
Shouts out to the Fun Belt because that's how they make their money.
Right.
Which, by the way, we need to.
I think it was Kent State made like $22 million in non-conference going to play everybody.
Yeah. Now, Army better be careful because they're having the Warhawks coming into their town.
Not the Fighting Tommy Bowdens.
The one and only Fighting Tommy Bowdens.
Man.
So,
Biggest surprise this year is who?
Well, my biggest surprise, outside of my own team.
You're not surprised.
Yes, I am. I thought they were going to lose. I thought they were going to go 10-2 at best.
And they still can go 10-2.
It'll be more of a disappointment now.
I hate that for you. You've won one more game than what you figured you'd win. That's not really a big surprise.
No, honestly, I actually thought they would go 9-3. So
who else do you think they'd lose to? Pitt?
I thought they would lose to either Florida, Pitt, or LSU.
I think I was the most right on Florida.
Yes, you were.
Because everybody watched the Utah game, except for our buddy Alex, who's a Utah fan, so he wasn't going to give them any credit. Shouts out to Alex. We love him.
Honestly, my other biggest surprise has been TCU. I didn't think Sonny Dykes had it in
Kansas.
Yeah.
I know Kansas has lost 2 in a row.
Hey, they've won 5 games. They haven't won 5 games in 3 years.
I do agree. Back to Florida. Like everybody saw the Utah game. It was all over Anthony Richardson. James, earmuffs for me. Outside of Tennessee making Anthony Richardson look like a pure pocket passer.
No, he was running.
439 yards.
He was running while throwing.
439 yards passing.
The boy played good, all right?
His next highest game was like 239 against Eastern Washington.
Hey, you know what?
And all of a sudden he shot up boards after week 1. I'm like, this is like his 4th start? Are we giving him the Mitch Trubisky projection?
Oh God. Hey, you know what? If Anthony Richardson is Mitch Trubisky in the NFL, he will make a GM very mad and happy at the same time.
But Mitch Trubisky started 1 year at North Carolina and went second overall.
Yes. Thank you, because that helped the 49ers get a whole lot of their players.
Thank you, Chicago, for being dumb.
Yes.
I was never sold on Trubisky anyways. But
so for me, outside of the Tennessee game, which I think he played great,
right? Because
I feel like Anthony Richardson
they play great against Tennessee's pass defense.
Yes, I feel like Anthony Richardson is the biggest example of a guy who has to have a motivation. He has motivation issues.
I was talking to the said South Carolina fan that I was talking to you about earlier, and Anthony Richardson is an athlete who can throw, not a quarterback who's athletic. That is how I look at Anthony Richardson.
Okay.
Agree, disagree, feel free.
It's a sorry, I'm trying to process that one, because that one has layers. He's not wrong. But I also feel like when Anthony Richardson is locked on and can play, you are seeing the second coming of Cam Newton.
And we have talked about he has the potential to be up there.
He does, but then he also has the potential to be another DeAndre Francois.
We love him. No, James Franklin is who we really love. I heard somebody talk about Willie Taggart earlier, and they were talking about how he thought James Franklin was like the best quarterback. I was like, oh, so that's what we're doing.
So that's what I mean. Does Willie Taggart deserve another job ever?
Well, he's currently at Florida Atlantic, and I really don't think he deserved that one. Okay.
No, he fell.
Okay, here are Anthony Richardson's numbers for the year. Okay.
I know they're not great.
They are. They're terrible. He 96 for 107.
Okay.
56% completion.
That's not great.
1,300 yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions.
That's bad.
And this is where he gets you, is he's averaging 7 yards a rush. So
yeah.
Go build a Denard Robinson offense. Denard Robinson could not throw the ball. But
wow, Denard Robinson. Holy smokes.
Okay. Go build that type of offense. I would take Johnny Manziel over Anthony Richardson, because Johnny Manziel could at least play in the pocket.
Okay.
Anthony Richardson, I feel like his first read and go.
So like Nick Marshall.
Yes. Go. I feel like Anthony Richardson would thrive in a Gus Malzahn offense.
He would. Absolutely, because all one
Gus
read.
Malzahn would not put him in a position to be a pocket quarterback.
Yes. And I feel like that's Billy Napier's biggest issue.
Right now at UCF, is he's giving them 2 reads and go.
Yeah. 2 reads and run. Because he's not a guy who can survey the field. He's not CJ Stroud right now. He's not doing the RPOs.
And
you're trying, huh?
Redshirt sophomore?
No, I think he's a junior.
No, I think he's a redshirt sophomore, because I think he was a true freshman last year, or so it might be a redshirt freshman this year. I don't know.
That could be right.
I'm looking it up really fast. Sophomore. So he's a true sophomore.
Okay. True sophomore.
Yeah,
okay.
True sophomore. Because that's right. They didn't redshirt him last year under Dan Mullen. Stupid idiot.
But anyway,
I don't think he's shown the progression to be a quarterback.
That's why I said, like, he needs to have the big games to be motivated, is that I don't think he applies himself in the film room or anything to be the pocket passer.
Right.
And that's where I feel like if he was able to unlock that part, he's really unstoppable. He's a very dangerous player. So I see why Napier wants to keep him. But
game stats against Utah: 17 for 24, 168, 70% completion. Against Kentucky, 14 for 35, 143, 40% completion, 2 interceptions.
That's bad.
USF, 10 for 18, 112, 55%, 2 interceptions. Tennessee, 24 for 44, 453, 54, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Eastern Washington, 8 for 10, 88%, 2-1. That's the kind of quarterback you need to hit. Against Missouri, 8 for 14 for 66 yards, 1-1. LSU, 15 for 25, 185-1.
Yeah.
So he's not a guy that you can win having him throw the ball 25 times a game.
No, you can't. You need to have a pitch count on him.
You know,
he's not. Look, and he's unfortunately right now we are comparing him, and he is in a conference with Bryce Young, Hendon Hooker, Will Rogers, and
throwing the ball all over the place.
And you also got who's the quarterback for LSU?
Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels, who's playing well.
He's at Spencer Bennett. Stetson Bennett's still throwing the ball all over the yard.
He is. I mean, unfortunately, he doesn't have the wide receiver help right now.
He has Brock Bowers.
He has Brock Bowers. And you got and right now, him and Spencer Rattler are fighting for the mid crown right now.
I would almost take Vanderbilt and Missouri's quarterback over Anthony Richardson.
Wow.
Because
actually, I think Missouri's quarterback isn't terrible.
And that's why I said I would take Cook. I think is his name. Jared Cook, maybe I think might be his name. But I feel like they play better in the pocket.
And I feel like that's what Billy Napier wants to do. Now, granted, this is
Levi Lewis at Louisiana.
Yeah,
he was a quarterback who was athletic.
Yes,
and
I think you know who I think would be a really good quarterback in his system. Is Will Levis.
Yes, he's just sneaky athletic enough to get out.
But unfortunately, Will Levis also has that gene where he likes to lose the football at the worst possible moment.
Absolutely.
At all times.
3 times against Ole Miss.
In crunch time.
So.
But anyway, we're getting to that point of the thing where they're about to get a little crazy with the headgear and all that stuff. Well, that's about an hour.
I'm sure that you'll be less annoying this week than you were last week. You'll be less on edge, at least after about 1:00 when Tennessee finally decides they want to start playing.
I will be excited to have a nice, easy scrimmage game. I'd like to see the freshmen get out there and splash around a little bit and get some experience.
You want to see the freshmen play in the kiddie pool in the third quarter.
I want them seeing that in the second quarter, but I don't think
you're not going to get it in the second quarter because Tennessee's not going to wake up until after 1:00.
You don't know that. You don't know that. We practice in the morning. We're a morning team. We're ready to blitz. I mean, look at LSU game. Everyone was saying that, and then look what happened. They went out.
Because it's harder. Because it's the same to get up for LSU as it is for UT Martin.
It's also homecoming, so
that's very true. There won't be a lot of energy, so maybe they'll be to play in the kiddie pool by the start of the third quarter. Then
I'm hoping that after halftime we get to see Joe Milton III out there as quarterback.
Bombs.
They just throw bombs, and then bringing in everyone else.
I just hope Georgia covers the 32.5 point spread.
I'm fully expecting Tennessee to not cover their insane amount of spread.
What is the spread? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't, because I have not seen it anywhere on freaking any sports book known to humanity.
Right, let's see if I see it. All right. Are you ready for this number?
It's gonna be big.
It is gonna be big. Hold on. Or are they not?
There's not a line.
Are you not giving me? I can find it.
There's not a line.
Give me a second.
You want to know how much tickets are for this game?
$8.
$9.
Oh, $9. Let's see.
I mean, we are talking about the.
Okay. This is on BetMGM in New Jersey, or New Jersey Sportsbook. The line is only 38. The over-under is 69.5.
Can you expect Tennessee to score 60 of that?
I feel like Tennessee can score 70.
Will they do that? I don't think they will do that. I feel
because I think Josh Heupel gets about 49 and come back to life.
Well, I mean, he was gonna do that with Akron, and then Akron started going after the knees, and then Heupel was like, "Nope, fucking, we're We're gonna put 60 on these guys. Put 60 on them.
Jigba is expected to return for Ohio State this week, who really I don't think has played much this year.
Yeah. Well, it's good that they're getting healthy at the right time.
Yeah. Which makes that I told y'all I love the Jim Knowles hire.
I just feel like who have they played though?
Who do they play today? Iowa. Their best win so far is. Are you ready for this? Drum roll, please.
Yes, I'm reclined. I'm ready.
Toledo.
That's
5-2. At 5-2 is Toledo.
We give Michigan a lot of shit on the show. Excuse me for my language.
Time out. Ohio State played Notre Dame. It's not Ohio State's fault. Notre Dame is 3-3 or whatever they are. 4-3. Whatever.
It's not their fault. However, it's also the people's fault for even thinking that they were going to be the fifth best team.
Well, at least Ohio State played a Power 5 team in non-conference, okay?
Is it Michigan's fault that they thought that maybe Colorado would get their act together by the time they got that schedule? So the dirty secret about college football's scheduling is it's made like 8 years in advance.
Yes, which we need to get away from that.
It will once the NCAA is dissolved, but hey.
Greg Sankey overall. Continue.
Yes. So you'll have and granted the Big Ten doesn't have you've got to play a Power 5 team, I think, the SEC mandates everybody to do. Now, granted, that's going to make it a little difficult because Tennessee isn't, because they scheduled Oklahoma before Oklahoma decided.
I did see something about that. I guess they didn't want them playing.
They do, but I don't think they're going to. They have to change it because
they did change it. I don't remember who they changed it to. Though.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. Yeah.
It was Buffalo.
Another glorified scrimmage game.
Hey, you know what? We need rest days. Okay, I will give them credit. They have scheduled Tennessee the best humanly possible this year, because you had a bye week after Florida, and you have UT Martin after this game, and you had Akron after Pitt. So you had these games where you thought there'd be letdowns. There were some nice little landing zones there. Now, granted, it gets a little more difficult because you got South Carolina after Georgia, which will be difficult. But by that time, if you're not motivated to say, hey, if you beat Georgia, hey, 3 more wins and you're in Atlanta, I don't know. I don't know what you want in this situation.
Let's see who they have in the next couple of years. Virginia, Austin Peay. Oh, yeah, that's in Nashville. I thought that game was in Atlanta.
Nope, it's in Nashville. We like to recruit in Nashville.
You got Syracuse in 2025, Nebraska in 26-27, West Virginia in 28, Washington in 29 and 30.
We're trying. I'm
curious who UGA has. I know we have North Carolina, maybe.
Hey, that 2026 one, we're going to Lincoln. We have to play Western Michigan, and we have to play Furman.
Oh, Furman. Love that.
And that West Virginia game's in Charlotte, by the way, also.
Yeah. Let's see what Georgia's future schedule looks like. Hey, we got UT Martin next year.
Watch out for those Skyhawks.
Clemson in Atlanta, at UCLA in 2025. UCLA comes in at Louisville in 2026. At Florida State, Louisville 2027. Can they really put Texas on there knowing it's – they have Texas, I guess, scheduled as non-conference games, and they're going to change them.
Yep, they'll
Florida State in 28, Clemson in 29, Clemson in 30, Ohio State in 30. Ohio State in 31, Clemson in 32.
I am not going to look 10 years out for freaking schedules. Everything could change by then.
I don't have to go far. Look. Hold on. I don't have to go far. There's a whole website that does it for me.
I understand that.
Hey, look, there's a whole website that does it for me.
But I just don't trust these things.
Oh, I completely agree with you. All right. Well, let's get out of here and go watch some football. Get prepared. I got to go run to the store too.
I got a very busy day ahead of me after the Tennessee game. You know, I got to get ready for my vacation.
Longer, doesn't it?
Huh?
That honey-do list just keeps getting longer, doesn't it?
Well, it's honestly it's turning into a gotta pack and because I will not be here next week.
You won't be here next Saturday.
I will not be here next Saturday. I'll be enjoying that in nice and sunny.
You will be taking your vacation.
I will be taking my vacation and enjoying it.
How dare you leave me, sir? How
dare I leave during a football Saturday? I understand this. However, I will not be at a wedding. I will be at a resort being able to watch it.
Better?
Hey, wait. It wasn't a wedding. It's not a wedding.
No. If you were going to plan any vacations, he says, July is the time to do it.
I understand that. However, the Universal Studios does not do haunted houses in July.
That sounds like a personal problem.
It sounds like an issue that I have to, this is the reason why the great thing about it is that Disney has a plethora of sports bars that have plethora of TVs.
Wow. We'll see how good of a fan you are next week.
Oh, I'm completely annoying. You know it.
Wait. I thought that was supposed to be your MO last week.
Oh, it's going to get worse. God forbid Tennessee comes in and knocks off Georgia, which they've done in the past in Athens.
I just want you to know that.
Yeah, I just want you to know that's happened before.
I'm going to block you. I just want you to know that.
It's like that Squidbillies episode where Early's dad keeps robbing the same bank over and over.
I'm going to rob you. That's the only thing I know to do. I'm going to block you. That's the only thing I know to do.
I'll do it again.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We kind of just went way in left field, which is really nothing new.
Hey, you know what? That first hour was solid. The last 20 minutes have been a little rough, but
as I said before, James and I are full of hot takes and dumb ideas. Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Instead of what we have.
Absolute known dullards of ideas.
Thank you guys for joining us this week. Oh, I need to stop that. It's too late. 6:30 came early.
Though. Go get some coffee because we got football now. Okay, you got an hour of nippy nap time before it gets real.
If I take a minute nap, I may not wake back up, man.
Yeah.
Well, y'all have a great week. Join us next week for another beautiful college ball Saturday. Open your window, feel the cold, and watch some football.